Is it going? And it is going. All right. So, Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, welcome back to Doctors and Dragons. This is Season 1, Bad Ghost, Episode 3, The Unquiet Snow. So we're going to be talking about The Unquiet Dead, the third episode of Doctor Who, and the Lord Snow.
You already made it. You already messed it up.
I've already messed it up. Lord Snow is the episode of Game of Thrones we're talking about. So, hello, Bryce. I'm here with you, as
yes,
always.
you are with me.
You
Ryan.
are my partner in this endeavor. And,
Partners in crime, with not a third person who ever comes on.
Right. Well, occasionally we have guests. And we have a guest with us today. And the last time we heard from him, he was a hostage. He was being held hostage in Syria. And William, are you still there? What can you give us an update on your status?
Oh yeah, still in Syria for sure. Got a new job though. Cool.
So are you still being held captive though?
The relationship is evolving. They no longer. I've developed a system of trust with my captors. They no longer leash me up or anything like that. But I know if I run, they'll chase me. So I just kind of stick around, help around, add to the overall mood and aesthetic.
So it's kind of like a father-son thing going on more than anything.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool dudes. They don't behead me, which is nice.
Blink twice if you need help.
I feel like this is a movie that I've seen, but I can't place it. Where someone is a slave. And
Jack and Jill?
No.
You mean Click? You mean Andy Samberg's great film?
I'll think of it like
that slave is an offensive term. I prefer it to be called servant.
Unlawful servant.
I'll think of it like halfway through this podcast, and then I'll just blurt it out, and you guys won't know what I'm talking about.
The Song of the South.
Okay, should we do a segment where Bryce just keeps listing movie titles?
Hitler's Last Stand. Russia in 1918, a documentary.
Bryce is out of movies. He has the entire internet at his disposal, and he can't come up with any more movies.
Marmaduke.
Marmaduke.
You guys seen Gentlemen Broncos? That's the best movie.
I've seen Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
I still have not seen Gentlemen Broncos. You've been telling me to watch it for years. I know it's where Greetings and Salutations comes from.
You know what?
I know I need to see it.
To be fair, I don't know where you would find it. Let me see if I can find it quick.
I'm sure it's with the internet. I'm sure I could find it.
I'm gonna go on a tangent here and say quickly of the thing that I've recently watched. 13 Reasons Why sucks. It's not good.
I just avoided it. I never watched it.
Yeah,
the ending.
I've not watched it.
I'm gonna spoil a little bit of this show because that was gonna be the original ending, and I hate it was so
to change endings and such.
Yeah, come on.
I can't think of another example of it, but
9/11.
Yeah,
well,
that happens a lot.
Actually, yeah, there was a scene in the original Spider-Man that was supposed to have him slinging a web between the twin towers.
Yep.
And that got taken out because, of course, 9/11 happened.
There's an album that had an entire song removed.
Yep. Slayer made the unfortunate decision of releasing one of their albums, God Hates Us All, on September 11th, 2001.
That's pretty metal.
Yeah, that's as metal as you can probably get. Anyway, without further ado, I think we should talk about The Unquiet Dead.
Yeah, so
and Charles Dickens.
Dead first. Charles Dickens, and Bryce was telling me just before the podcast, he thought for half the episode that it was Charles Darwin.
I didn't. Okay, as an American, we haven't been required to read Charles Dickens' work. We're more of the Edgar Allan Poe, Henry David Thoreau. Those are the artists, the Emily Dickinsons that we. Those are what we read.
Okay,
I
then
have
I
not
would
heard of
still-
Charles Dickens for a long time, and I only really hear Charles Darwin because I take a lot of science classes, I guess.
To be fair, though, like I mean, I don't think I've ever read any of his work, but I'm at least aware of who he is. And I mean, I know A Christmas Carol. I've not read it, but I know
Wait,
the
that's
story.
his?
Yeah, that's his.
It's
Oh,
referenced like 3 times in the show.
That's
what
why
the
it was
whole thing-
referenced.
You Scrooge.
I was so confused.
That's why, like, the whole thing in this episode is that it's Christmas and there's ghosts, and it's Charles Dickens. That's the whole.
Oh,
We are
okay.
breaking this to Bryce on the podcast, everybody.
All right,
This is
all right, all right. So,
glorious.
okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. I think they should have told me that.
They did
explicitly,
tell you that,
they
you just
shoulda-
weren't paying
They
close
should
enough
have
attention.
broken the fourth wall and just said, "Hey, Bryce, you. This is who Charles Dickens is. He wrote this."
You could have like paused it and Googled him quick.
Why would I Google Charles Dickens? Why would I
to
Google
find out
Charles
that he wrote
Darwin?
Christmas Carol. Actually, I would like to see a Doctor Who episode where they meet Charles Darwin, though. That would be pretty cool. I would enjoy that very much. But this wasn't Charles Darwin. This was Charles Dickens. So,
Dickens, more like. Got him.
yeah. I was trying to somehow work Mickey into it, but he wasn't in this episode, so can't really. do that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, before we break down the episode, what did you guys think of it overall?
Well, it was the CGI, man. Good old like 2003 CGI.
Yeah,
That
it
Always.
wasn't terribly. It wasn't terribly offensive. The CGI.
it wasn't, but it was there
Like,
and ever present.
Next week, I think we're gonna see some really bad CGI.
Wow,
This week was
spoilers,
not too
damn.
bad.
How could you spoil?
I'm
My
not
experience.
spoiling. I am preparing.
Preparing.
I am
It's
preparing
necessary
you
for this
guys.
episode. 60% of
preparing
people
you
don't make it
guys.
out.
Oh god.
Oh
It
man.
is some real bad CGI in the next
Real
one,
bad?
but real bad. But anyway,
Bad.
we are not there yet. We are talking about the Unquiet Dead.
Did this
Alright.
episode give you like Star Trek vibes, or is that just me?
Yeah,
Well-
it kind of did actually.
I'm gonna go with no since I haven't seen Star Trek.
Oh,
Is it like the theme of?
I saw the movie that's with the planet that was alive or something that Spock died on.
okay.
Genesis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not.
Yes, I saw Genesis,
Oh, yeah,
and then I
yeah.
saw the one that was, I think, after Genesis as well, where Spock comes back.
You saw it. Yeah.
Spoiler.
You said Genesis, and in my head, I thought you said Generations, which is something else. But
I also saw The Wrath of Khan, which is one of the better movies, I feel.
anyway, yes, William. To answer your question, 'cause William and
Yes.
William and I both have
I like
seen
how Bryce
I
answered
actually
the
thought
question.
that I was watching the
Read
wrong season because we were introduced to like an 1860s time period. So I thought I was like watching like a Sherlock Holmes or something. I was like, what is going
Yeah.
on?
the cold open, like Doctor Who. I don't want to say always, because I could be wrong, but they almost always have a cold open in their episodes.
It's a cold
Which-
open.
It's like before the title sequence, they have
Ah.
a scene.
Those are what those are called?
That's what that's
Yeah.
called, yeah, cold open. And usually they do a pretty good job, but like this week was just insane with the cold open.
Yeah.
Like, it was
It's just like, wait, what show am I watching?
yeah.
You never really want that vibe in shows.
No, it was crazy. And I mean, we can get into that now if you guys
Yeah,
want. But
we should
well, actually, we
probably
didn't hear
get into it.
William's thoughts. What did you think of this episode overall?
Um, I halfway through it, I thought I was enjoying it, but when I got to the end, I think this one's my least favorite so far.
Really?
That's like
That's
how I was
interesting.
feeling about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those episodes that I think if you ask someone who's watched Doctor Who, they just had forgotten.
Well, actually, this one is my favorite of the three we've done so far. And
Ooh.
I actually I like this one a lot, actually. This one, like the first episode was rough.
It was Hard
And
Knock
then
Life.
and then the second episode was decent, but not that great. This episode actually felt like an episode of Doctor Who to me, which, obviously you guys don't have the context to really know that independently of me telling you. But this one actually felt like real Doctor Who.
Okay.
So I like it.
Yeah, I was afraid this was gonna be real Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the. I don't want to say it's kind of corny, but it's kind of
Okay.
corny.
Why don't you guys tell me all the things you hate about it, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
All right. First off, Rose is kind of annoying.
Good luck
Okay,
with that one, Ryan.
you're actually right about that one.
Rose is kind of just like, no, she can't make her own decisions. She's from the 1860s. I think we should
Yeah.
go over the episode before going to.
We should get into it.
Yeah.
So,
Can Rose
in-
die already?
in due time.
In due time, because I know like every one of his followers dies.
That's not true.
They're immortal?
They're mortal.
Immortal?
They are all mortal.
They're all immortal.
Then Bryce is right.
So in the cold open, we got it opens up with like Mr. Redpath. His grandmother has just died,
Yes.
and he's in the I guess it's a funeral home. An undertaker is what Mr. Sneed
The
is.
Undertaker.
And so they're in there, and then the grandmother comes back to life.
Ah, yes.
So, I don't
Booga
know.
booga booga booga.
I don't know if this is worthy of a see. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. When the grandmother reanimates, because if so, there's an awful lot of that going on in this episode.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
that's where you're wrong, kiddo. For the reason being, she never comes back to life. Only something else possesses her. So it's something that's been almost, unless if we
So-
count the things having a physical form as becoming alive again. But I think they were still alive, just not in a physical entity.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the Gelf does not constitute the human actually coming back to life. It's just
Yes.
inhabiting the body.
It's like
So-
inhabiting the shell that used to be a person.
Okay. So we're not counting that as coming back to life. However, she does then kill her grandson,
Yep.
Mr. Redpath.
No, she
The
doesn't.
guy-
He just fell into her
No.
hands.
No, she killed him.
No, he just fell into her hands and grabbed a little too tightly.
But he is now dead.
Yes, he is. No, wait, no, he's alive.
I like when the guy walks in, he's like, oh, not again. This guy
I know.
No, not again.
I know, just such a bizarre cold
He
open.
just like doesn't care. I don't know.
Oh, not again.
Oh, not this again. So, good God, Captain, Mr. Redpath
God,
is dead.
Captain.
So the grandmother runs out into the street and screams, banshee type scream. And
RAR
that's
XD.
and that's the title sequence then, like
Yep.
at that point. Just a weird cold open.
We are 15 minutes into the episode and we finally reached the first intro of our first show. Progress. Hell yeah.
So I think it's after the cold open when we meet Gwyneth finally. I'm not sure what her function is. I guess she's Mr. Sneed's servant,
Yeah.
but
Thank you for using the proper term, Ryan.
yeah, she's not. She's not a slave like William is over in
Hey,
over in
watch your
Syria.
tongue, boy.
You just tell us when this relationship has finished evolving. Between you and your
I don't know if I'll
captors.
be able to tell you at that point. We'll see.
You might be in so deep that oh, never mind. I don't know where I was going with that. So where were we here?
So title sequence, and after title sequence, you got the Doctor and Rose being all what they are in the ship. Blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, right.
Enter 1869, although they think it's
okay.
1860.
Right. So I was going to ask you guys about that. So, did you think it was weird that they were off by 9 years and in a different place?
Are they always off by 9 years?
No, not always 9 years.
But I know that the TARDIS isn't perfect right now because it's a little busted.
Okay. So it wasn't like an issue for you watching the show that like they would be off.
Yeah, it just kind of happens because that's what I'm expecting in the shows.
That they would be in Cardiff, Wales instead of Naples.
Yeah.
Okay.
That everything's just gonna kind of be it's gonna just things are gonna happen.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't hit the spot exactly when you have a broken spaceship that travels through time.
Okay, I won't say any more about it because they do eventually address this issue, but it just takes the writers a long time to actually address it. So I was going to, if you guys were really
now is it really
this, I was going to explain, but
no, don't spoil. Just go away.
It will eventually be explained. So, in several different ways, it's a combination of things. But anyway. So they end up in Cardiff instead of Naples, and it's 1869, not 1860, and it's Christmas Eve instead of Christmas.
Yes.
I love how like the perception of like places outside of America of the 1860s, where it's like Rose is like, what happened in 1860? And the doctor's like, I don't know. Let's find out. And I'm like, I know what happened.
Yeah.
We had some secessions.
He's like, I know what happened. There was, yeah, nothing important.
Yeah, Christmas of 1860 was not a good time to be in America. Because it was, the Civil War was breaking out.
What's the Civil War?
Oh, I'm sorry, Bryce. You being from the South, you might know it as the War of Northern Aggression.
Oh, you mean those damn northern bastards taking away our rights?
Those damn Yankees.
Damn Yanks. Pulling our strings.
It's actually not really good to joke about that because unfortunately there are places in America where they still teach that in schools, and it's really sad.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
It's like, dude, Mississippi, you're on the wrong side of history this time. Deal with it.
You're on the wrong side of history this time?
What other time are they right?
Now, if you were to tell me...
They're on the right side of history when they're fighting with the rest of America, like in World War II, for example.
I don't think they had a say in that, to be fair.
No, but...
I don't think Mississippi's decisions on their own have been good for the majority of their existence.
Wow. All of our listeners from Mississippi have just tuned out.
No, any Mississippian, I hate you. That's right. There. Boom. Racism.
Oh, man. The views of Bryce, the views expressed by Bryce on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast as a whole.
The views expressed by this podcast do not necessarily reflect those in.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Stay-
Damage control.
Damage.
We
You can be
can't,
the good boy, and I can just say that everyone sucks.
Look, Bryce, if one person from Mississippi was listening to this podcast, that would be 50% of our listeners.
Yes.
That,
And it's better without him. I don't like them Southern folk.
oh, jeez, it's getting worse. How we're losing the rest of the South.
I'm just gonna keep expanding. You know what? You from Earth? Fuck you.
Yeah. Gallifreyans only. So anyway, I don't know where we left off here.
Well, they're there, and then they go to see Charles Dickens' thing, and then the ghost pops out of the old lady, and then spooky ooga booga booga, people run away, and the old lady died.
Right. We missed the scene though with the where we first meet Gwyneth. And it's clear immediately that she has some
Telepathy or
some extra sensory powers.
yeah, some form.
By the way, this is worth mentioning. And it doesn't mean anything to you guys, but the actress who plays Gwyneth in this episode, there is a spin-off series of Doctor Who called Torchwood, which I believe the events of that coincide with season 3 of Doctor Who. But anyway, the actress who plays Gwyneth in this episode is the main character in Torchwood, and her character's name in that show is Gwen. And it takes place in Cardiff, and all of that is a nod to this episode. So that's pretty cool.
Well, they're not creative at all.
Because the thing with the whole rift that the Gelth were coming through in this episode, and we'll see this come up again in Doctor Who, but that rift is sort of a world building event. This episode. The rift is significant, and that's why they had a spin-off show take place in Cardiff.
I see.
Yes.
So the rift will come back.
We'll see the rift again, and in this season, in fact.
Will the Daleks come through it?
I don't want to spoil anything.
So they do. You could have. Damn.
I may or may not recall them coming through the rift. Actually, fuck it. No. The Daleks don't ever come through the rift that I can remember.
Spoiler!
Well, you spoiled it. How dare you?
You gave me no choice.
I gave you the choice of saying I can neither confirm nor deny this fact.
That is what I was trying to do, and then I gave up. Oh god, this podcast is so off the rails.
No, it's don't worry. It's been staying on rails perfectly. It's an unstoppable train heading straight into a tower with a twin.
Oh my.
Oh yes.
I don't know.
The pre-podcast discussion.
That wasn't pre-podcast. That was on the podcast.
Was it? Okay, I can't remember anymore. I'm a little tipsy.
I don't remember either. When I listen back, I'll be like, oh, we were such idiots. So anyway, yeah, so the dead woman had been planning to see Charles Dickens before she died. And so when she came back to life, she went and saw Charles Dickens.
Ah,
because
yes.
That's what that seemed
all she wanted to do.
Oh, of course. William, come on. Just come on. William has a theory, I think, about Doctor Who. Would you like
to share this theory?
Okay, when was the show airing?
This was 2005.
So they used the TARDIS.
Yeah, he has a time machine.
Melted steel. That's what happened.
Oh man.
With the screwdriver, he just zip.
That melted steel beams, huh?
Yeah, I bet it could do that. He doesn't use it this episode, does he?
I don't remember. He uses it in pretty much every episode, but you might be right. I don't know if he used it in this one.
Which one? Screwdriver? No, he didn't. I noticed. He never even pulled it out. You would think he would try to use it when they're about to die. Nah.
Yeah. So the doctor deduces that the creatures are made of gas.
Yes.
That are
They're
inhabiting-
gaseous.
They're gaseous, yes.
They're gay
Um,
and they like gas.
So let me get this straight, Bryce. Even the bit where he's on stage telling the story of A Christmas Carol didn't tip you off to the fact that this is Charles Dickens.
Well, no, I didn't know Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol.
But you didn't even make that. Why would Charles Darwin be telling A Christmas Carol?
I didn't know, and I didn't question it because it's Doctor Who, and why would you question anything?
Always question everything.
Never question anything.
Yeah, this is America. We don't question things.
Don't
here.
catch you slipping. No.
This is America.
This is America.
So, they are gaseous creatures, the Gelth, which we haven't found out that they're called the Gelth yet, but that's all right. So they take the old woman outside to the hearse because she's dead, and that's what you do with dead people.
And then Rose is like, "Yo, what you doing? Yo, she's cold. Yo, what are you doing? She's dead. Oh no, chloroform."
Yeah, and they chloroform Rose. Like, why is he carrying chloroform?
Well, you know, who doesn't have chloroform just sitting in their pockets, just in case for those special moments?
It makes it seem to me like this has been going on for a very long time.
It makes
like,
me
with
think
these
that
dead
he might
people
want to
coming
Bill
back.
Cosby some people.
Well, or that he's been covering his tracks with these dead bodies waking up for many, many years at this point.
And that's just a commality.
Yeah, it's like, and every once in a while he's got to chloroform somebody and then kill them so that they won't talk.
Yep.
So, yeah, they kidnap Rose, and so the doctor jumps in Charles Dickens' carriage, where they say his name numerous times, and Bryce still doesn't know that it's Charles Dickens.
Yep. I just kind of defaulted.
Oh, man. How tired were you when you watched this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they end up back at the Undertaker place. I don't know what it was called. Sneed's house.
Yes.
And I liked when they were like they knocked on the door and he told Gwyneth to tell them that they're closed. And
Yep.
when I saw that, I went, wait, they can't close. They're undertakers. And then I'm like, that's so dumb. And then she actually says it, and then Charles Dickens calls her out on it, and I'm like, that makes me really happy that they actually did it on purpose and called it out. You know, since when?
Okay.
Since when did an undertaker keep
Yeah,
hours? Is what he
I
said.
like how Ryan's life has devolved to a point where that makes him happy.
Well, it doesn't take much. So
That's really entertaining.
So meanwhile, the grandma wakes up again, and so does Mr. Redpath, and they start attacking Rose.
Yes.
And so the doctor runs in to go rescue her, and then they talk to the Gelth for the first time, and the Gelth introduce themselves. And then they disappear again back into the lamps. So is this where you... Well, no, it was probably later where you were saying that CGI was so horrible.
The CGI is just trash in this show in general. And that's to be expected for something that made 2003. I mean, the fucking Lost Smoke Monster, I is just as
Bryce,
bad.
you
What?
keep referencing a show that I've not seen, so
You've never seen Lost?
I feel like we had this conversation on the podcast before, and we're only 3 episodes in.
Dude,
So,
that
well,
happened forever ago.
you know what? I take that back. Maybe I didn't bring that up last time, but I know I've told you that before.
Chum, did you know about this?
No.
See? It's confirmed.
He
You
has
never told
a
me.
lot on his plate right now, Bryce.
He has
He's-
nothing. No, he actually doesn't get food, I thought.
Oh, do you get fed?
Yeah, of course. It's not like I'm a slave.
So the distinction of a slave and a servant is one is fed and the other one is not.
Can you just not use the S word around me?
Uh,
Wait, which is
I
the S
can
word,
use it.
servant or slave?
What's that?
Which
you
is the
can
S
use
word?
it, but we can't.
Ryan, if you're so privileged you can't figure it out, just don't use either of them.
No.
So what do we call you?
Call me by my name,
Okay,
Not-
human filth.
not a label.
Despicable, vile piece of human waste. How dare you?
That's pretty good.
All right. How about this? I will just call you Drudge. Or how about this? I put slave into thesaurus.com just now, and one of the words that came up is skivvy.
Mm,
Skivvy.
that's another S word.
Skivvy.
You can't use S words.
Can't use S word. Okay.
Can we call you stupid?
That's an S word, right?
Can we say
No,
people
stupid.
from Texas are dumb?
Stupid starts with a CE. What do you mean?
Katu. That works then.
Okay.
Alright.
So anyway,
Damn pterodactyl.
we keep getting sidetracked.
Yeah. Or
So-
we're right on track. You just don't know it yet.
We just don't know it.
So Charles Dickens is all like, yeah, I can't believe all this nonsense. And
Yeah.
then, you know, Rose
He's
is
a
well.
skeptic.
First, Rose is locked in a room with the people who come back to life, and she's like, ah, shit, better hippity hoppity off of this property. And then she's locked in the room. And they go and save her, and they then fall back asleep. And
You know, I feel like now, Bryce, I know you haven't seen a lot of Futurama, only what I've shown you,
yep,
but I feel like I sigh when I'm listening to you talk about as much as Kiff sighs when Zap Brannigan talks. It's like every other thing that you say. It's like, you know, I sigh so much.
and that's a
Disapproval.
good thing. It's a good thing. It means that you care.
Yeah, it means that I care. I really care about this podcast.
All right, Ryan.
So let's
care
get
s-
on with it
Yeah, all right. So
because our
continue.
listeners are bored.
Come on, man.
They really want us to talk about this episode. I feel like it's a good episode and we're not doing it justice by getting sidetracked so much.
All right. So
So-
Rose is almost
so-
killed.
Right, she's almost killed, and then in the next scene, she is pissed about it. So she's chewing out Mr. Sneed for it, and Gwyneth. I don't remember why Gwyneth is like passed out at this point. What
Because
happened to her? No,
remember
wait, I'm sorry, she's not.
the-
I'm
that
I'm
was
getting
about the median,
the
right?
medium, not the median.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm
it's
getting my
called a
scenes
median.
mixed up.
Yes.
This is the scene where she's mad at Mr. Sneed, and in the middle of this, Gwyneth walks up to the doctor and gives him a cup of tea and says, 2 sugars, just how you like it. And I don't know if you guys caught that, because that was foreshadowing of like Gwyneth having these powers of being able to read people's minds.
I see.
And
I didn't.
I thought it was subtly well done. And the doctor like knew immediately what was going on with her too, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, so they start talking about the rift, and Dickens doesn't want to believe any of this.
And he's like, and if you're gonna be in denial, then you can shut up.
Yeah, and then later he's like, I shouldn't have told you to shut up. You know?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the wrong accent.
The only accent I can do is Rajesh from Microsoft.
So I liked the scene where Gwyneth and Rose are talking.
Yeah,
kind of
that was
privately.
interessante.
So that was interesting. And during that scene, by the way, I laughed really hard. Like it was late at night when I was watching this, and I laughed when Gwyneth says, Rose mentions like skipping school to look at boys.
Yeah.
And Gwyneth is
boys.
Gwyneth is like, well, I do sort of like the butcher's boy.
Which,
and
yeah,
it made. Of
course, it's the butcher's boy who just got killed on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we're just like, I basically I smirked a little bit when I heard that. I was like, oh, haha.
I found it way funnier than I should have. But that was funny.
Yes.
But anyway, then she starts reading Rose's thoughts and, you know, seeing visions of the future and all that. And, of course, I'm sure you guys caught this one. She says, the things you've seen, the darkness, the big bad wolf.
Yeah, I noticed.
I didn't know what they meant by the big bad wolf.
Well, it's Bad Wolf again. It's come up again now for the second straight episode.
I don't get it.
So she's already seen the Bad Wolf?
I don't know. Actually, I do know, but you don't.
What is the big bad wolf?
It's like what it seems to be implying.
That she has already encountered this big bad wolf?
Which means it's Mickey, right? Am I interpreting this correct?
It's Mickey. No, it's actually Clive, the guy who got killed in the first episode. He's the big bad wolf.
No, it's his son.
It's his son. I'll be interested to see if you guys can, what you guys come up with about Bad Wolf as we go through this season.
Would we know who the big bad wolf is?
At this point, I'm assuming it's the Doctor himself, but I'm not sure. That's like the only major character that's been like.
Okay.
Like I don't know. You wouldn't call him because you have like three major.
Ryan, have we or have we not been introduced to the big bad wolf?
He can't answer that.
Well, you're assuming that the big bad wolf is a person.
Is it just a concept? I mean, no, I'm not assuming it's a person. I'm assuming it's a character in the show. Whether it can be like an entity, like a house or something. So
you think aliens are not people? Wow, Bryce.
Yeah, they're not people. What?
Speciesist Bryce.
They're just like the Southerners.
Aren't you Southern?
Just like the slaves.
Just like the
right? Don't use their word.
He will turn this podcast around.
Do we have an HR department yet?
We are the HR.
Yeah, actually, I'm the HR department. Would you like to file a complaint?
I'll wait till after the podcast. But
all right, yeah, we'll do it off mic.
Oh, yeah, behind closed doors.
we just have to, but we're still gonna do it like over Discord. So we'll just individually be online in different rooms behind closed doors. So I'll be interested to see what you guys come up with relating to Bad Wolf. We'll see what you guys can deduce. So anyway, the doctor kind of explains what's going on with Gwyneth, and it's because she grew up on top of a rift, and that's why that's
Yep.
why she has all these powers.
Because it's kind of been nurtured into her
Mm-hmm.
naturally.
Kind of similar to the origin story of a character that we'll meet way later in the show, but won't get into that now.
Is her name Gwyneth?
No, her name's Amy.
Spoiler.
Why are you keep spoiling the show?
Actually, her name's Amelia. She goes by Amy.
Stop it.
Wait, what about Amelia Earhart?
Well, she does have red hair also, like
Does
Amelia
she
Earhart.
fly planes?
No, but she's, well, no.
So
She sometimes flies.
We then call a median, don't we? After this scene?
Medium, Bryce, not medium.
After they talk about the bookstores boy and they talk.
The bookstores.
The It's a shame you didn't say a prayer for the bookstore's boy's son. The bookkeeper's son.
Oh my god. Alright. Pronunciation aside.
Pronunciation.
So they have a seance. I actually have a note that says they have a seance.
They have a seance.
What was your
So-
opinion of the seance?
Yeah, what did you think of the seance first?
It's pretty gay.
What do you mean by seance?
The opinions expressed on this podcast.
What's a
So the
seance?
seance is the thing where they're sitting around in a circle holding hands.
Oh, that's I don't
That's called apparently. Yeah, like I don't follow.
I
any
thought
of
that
shit
was an
either, but-
exorcism.
No, but I did like the bit where Mr. Sneed was like, he's like, I once made this one dead guy look really good for some bishop or something. Maybe he'll do an exorcism on the cheap. Like that was stupid. But anyway,
Fair enough.
the doctor did say while they're doing that seance, he's like, I love a happy medium, and he just kind of smirks at Rose, and Rose is like, I can't believe you just said that.
Yep.
And nah, that's stupid. So anyway, the Gelth start coming through. They come through the rift, and so they're talking to the doctor, and they say, pity the Gelth, and the doctor takes pity on the Gelth. And
Yeah,
then
because they
eventually-
think because the Time War thing. He's like, oh
'cause
shit,
it's-
oh shit, my people.
And you guys have learned at this point, right, that the Time War involved the Doctor's people, the Time Lords.
Well, yeah, we already know that all his
we
people are
learned
dead
that
from the
last
Time
week,
War.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry. Sometimes I mix that up with future knowledge that you guys. don't
Shut
have.
up. Shut. We will give you the knowledge. You don't need to speculate questions. Because the second you start asking questions, like, do you know that X is dead? You know that, like, eventually
did
you're
you
gonna
see that-
ask the wrong
the
question.
episode yet? Did you see the episode yet where Lori dies?
You
Who
mean
is Lori?
Laurel and Yanny?
Oh, jeez. Which one do you guys hear, by the way?
No, stop. We're not having this discussion.
No, we are having
No.
this discussion.
So back to Doctor Who, because I'm refusing. They go to the morgue, and she wants to
Okay.
sacrifice herself and be like the angels. But Rose is all like meh 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 meh. But she's like, nah, I'm gonna stand under this arch and then I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Okay, but when Rose and the doctor are arguing about this, Rose is like, I know it doesn't work because I know that there aren't dead people walking around in the future. And this is the first time we ever get an instance in the show of the doctor or someone saying time can be rewritten. And that happens a lot. So
Well, yeah.
Time's in flux. So even though Rose came from the future where there are no dead people walking around, it would have.
Time isn't linear in Doctor Who. It's what you've said.
It's wibbly wobbly, yeah. And that's from Blink, which is a future episode.
Time actually looks like a thick anime girl.
Thick.
You guys. But you guys and your cries of spoiler. I mean, come on.
If you're more sensitive to our needs, Ryan.
You do this to me on the Game of Thrones portion, and I don't always call it.
That's because we're better.
Yeah, you are better than me. I'm sorry.
In every way, shape, or form.
Even though one of you is a slave, you're better than me.
Hey,
don't call me a slave.
Why do you keep calling me a slave?
No, you're not. No. Okay. So, anyway,
is it because I'm suffering? Wow.
Because the doctor feels responsible for what happened to the Gelth, he decides to help them, or try at least.
Yeah, and then ooga booga booga, they lied.
Yep.
And that was the worst CGI. Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah, it was.
It
pretty
looked
bad.
like some 9-year-old trying to make a cool animation on Newgrounds.
It was definitely bad CGI.
Yes.
Pretty
and
intense.
So
and then that Moore guy dies. They get trapped.
A bunch of corpses start rising up, and one of them snaps Mr. Sneed's neck.
Yes.
Sneed.
And
What do
then
you guys want to say at this time?
Good God, Captain.
Thank you. I'm tired of saying it every single time.
Well, you always say it first.
Because I'm the only one who pays enough attention.
No, you're the one who always narrates deaths.
Well, that's because I make a special note every time someone dies. And by the way, nobody died this week on Game of Thrones. So, I was disappointed. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
It was one of the rare occasions.
We're almost to the end of this Doctor Who episode.
Yes.
So they kill Mr. Sneed, and Charles Dickens is like, Charles is just like, this is too much for me. I have to leave, and he runs outside.
And then realizes that they're gaseous himself, I guess. While Rose and the Doctor are giving the most pathetic excuse, like they don't look like two people who are gonna die. They did not. That was one of the most poorly acted scenes in this thing.
Yep. And so Charles Dickens comes back in, figures out a way to save the day. They release a bunch of gas into the air, and it draws the Gelth out of the dead bodies. And then Gwyneth, who is already dead apparently, lights a match and blows up the house. So one good God Captain for Gwyneth, who died 5 minutes before. And then another good God Captain for all the Gelth who...
No, they don't die. They do not die. They do not die. She said they're trapped.
No,
remember?
Bryce, she set them on fire.
Yeah,
they
but
exploded.
They don't have physical entities. Don't worry.
They're dead.
We don't know that.
Captain, they're dead.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo.
Nice. Oh, perfect. So that pretty much takes it to the end. They go and they do the last thing where they walk back to the TARDIS, and they say their goodbyes to Charles Dickens, and they go inside, and then you find out, nope, actually he dies next year, so he doesn't get to write a story about all this.
Well, I mean, of course. We already knew that.
It's like, Rose in that scene it bugged me, because he's like, nope, it's almost 1870, that's the year he dies, and she goes, oh, that's so sad, he's so nice. It's like, what? And then the doctor's like, well, he was already dead in your time.
Yeah, it's like,
That just
dude,
bothered me.
it's like, what
It's
the
like-
fuck are you talking about, Rose? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut up. Like,
Shut
he
the
was
fuck-
already dead.
Yeah, you don't actually give a shit, asshat.
I don't think that's what he was saying, but
I mean, come on, you never cared before, and now it's suddenly you care about some dead people? Wow. I bet you
Yeah.
like him because he's white.
anyway.
Overall, this episode
So yeah,
was underwhelming.
you guys, I'm really surprised that you thought it was underwhelming. Let me open up the stats here. I actually forgot to open it this time.
How dare you? I'm gonna give it a 4.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to see how surprising that is. Give me a second. Oh, that's surprising.
Why is that?
Well, you put it like right in between your rankings of Rose and the End of the World.
Well, I like the End of the World better.
So you gave
See?
Rose a 3, this one a 4, and the End of the World a 5.
I thought the End of the World was pretty cool, seeing the diversity in the world building. That was fun. That was fun.
Okay.
And Soft Cell's Tainted Love always will raise any episode a point, no matter what, if it is
You know what?
negative.
I'm surprised, but it's fine. It's your opinion. William, what do you think?
I think I agree with Bryce. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.
Really?
That's what I don't know why it just didn't keep my
Never
attention.
clicked. It didn't click, and it was kind of under. It just felt like there
I
wasn't.
guess I like the idea of the episode,
Yeah,
and
the
I'm
concept
looking
was cool.
forward to more like it. Where it's like, if this is what a normal Doctor Who episode is, like, oh, look, okay, that sounds interesting. But this one specifically just didn't click for me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. And as we get further into the show, I think you'll find that this is more like the typical episode in terms of like not in
Format.
terms of content, but in terms of format and like, yeah. So I actually liked this episode. I'm a little bit surprised that you guys didn't. And I had actually written down I was going to give it
Okay,
a-
what deviates this episode from the last one? Is what I'm asking. What makes it better?
See,
the End of the
again,
World.
I measure these on a scale of like points where I go, I liked that, to points where I like go, I hated that. And this one didn't have a lot that I disliked in it.
Well,
this
that's okay.
This episode had a lot of things that I really did like. I really liked that. I mean, obviously there's world building stuff, so that pumps up my ranking a bit because I know of that stuff. I know about future events in the timeline of the show. And you guys obviously don't have that foreknowledge.
All right.
So there's that. And I like, I like that this episode kind of spawned the Torchwood spinoff in a way. That's kind of cool.
Okay. But that's
So
so
that
unrelated.
again,
That's just kind of
it's a reason for me to like the episode.
all right.
And it felt, again, like I said at the beginning, it felt like a real episode of Doctor Who, where the first two really didn't for me. So
Fair.
I actually wrote down, all those things considered, I actually am giving this an 8.5 out of 10. Sonic Screwdrivers,
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
which is
Wow.
very, very different. You guys gave it.
That is the highest rating of anything this season of any show.
Yeah, I know.
That is your most enjoyable episode of television you have watched of the 5.
Of the 5, yes, and perhaps of the 6. We haven't ranked the other one yet, but we will do that soon. Any closing
Gee.
remarks on Doctor Who before we jump into Game of Thrones, you guys?
Zooey mama.
Zooey mama.
All right. So, actually, with my much higher rating on this episode and your guys' much lower ratings,
Yeah, it's like a 5.5.
it's 5.5, which is exactly the same as what we ranked the last episode collectively.
What was the first episode collectively?
4.03.
All right.
Okay.
So these two apparently are better than the first one.
Wow, who would have thought?
But I mean, my 8.5 really did skew this one. So anyway, it's the highest praise that anyone's given anything so far.
And it's the highest differentiation, I think. Because I think we
Yeah.
all are about even with the
Yeah,
rest
we're
of
all pretty much in line. We're like within 1 on everything else. Actually, well, the first episode of Game of Thrones, we were within 1.5 of each other. And that's the farthest apart on anything.
But this is like 4.5 points.
Yeah.
But speaking of Game of Thrones, we're getting to
Yeah, let's get into Lord Snow.
do.
Yeah, by
Boom.
the way, Bryce, you mentioned that you had band practice tonight. How did that go?
Oh,
Okay.
I
I was going to ask, if you and your band
my
ever make intro and outro music for our podcast, that would be cool.
The thing was that most people weren't there, so I just helped around a lot, and I got carried away. So basically, me and one other person just kind of helped around other bands that play there because of how it works, which was
Okay.
sad because I think most people didn't know that we were supposed to come today since it was like the reuniting day. I don't know. Hope it can work this week.
Did
All
you
right.
just get drunk? Is that all you did?
Yeah, of course, with a bunch of kids walking around.
Just like William on our first podcast.
And second,
Working on it right now too. Not
You're
quite
working on
there.
it, yeah.
yeah, I
How,
got.
how deep are you, William, right now?
I've only done 3,
Hmm.
so not very far.
3T.
But I got drunk 3 nights last weekend, so I was like, oh, I don't want to do that again.
Ooh.
So
It's just gross.
your captors, they give you alcohol
Yes.
and they
it's
give
to
you
make me
internet
complacent.
access in order to do this podcast.
Solely
Yes,
for the
yes.
podcast or for other uses as well?
No, just for the podcast.
He has to watch the episodes.
They also
too.
forced me to play this game called League, but I don't.
Oh, I am so sorry for that one. What's your ping in Syria?
Wait, Bryce, you're the one who captured him?
Why would I say that? What leads you to believe that?
Because you were apologizing so profusely.
Because no one should be forced to play League.
He's feeling white guilt.
I feel like guilt.
He's from the South. He doesn't feel any guilt about that at all.
Oh shit! I
There's-
just realized I'm watching the next episode of Doctor Who. It was auto playing. Like, what the heck?
Stop!
What the heck am I watching right now? I gotta get out of
And
this quick.
assist. Oh, okay. So anyway, Bad Ghost.
Yeah, Bad Ghost. I don't know if I said Bad Ghost up top, did I? Anyway, season 1, Bad Ghost. Episode 3 of the Unquiet Snow. And we are on to Lord Snow at this point. So I guess I should give my thoughts on the episode, huh?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
crushing.
Yeah, what's your...
I have no thoughts. Actually, I do have some. I did not think this episode was as strong as the first 2.
Well, I mean, it's expository as well.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I felt like there were a lot of things getting set up in this episode, but nothing actually happened.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
to sum up this episode in like one thing, it's like the scene where Ned is sitting with, I don't know what their names are, or
Oh,
like,
the Lords.
collectively-
The Lords, yeah.
Yeah, collectively, I guess they're known as.
And
the
they're
Lords
talking about a
apparently.
tournament, and he says,
Right,
"No,
and
we're in debt. I'll talk
Yeah,
to
and
Robert," and leaves.
Yeah, exactly. And Ned goes like, nothing happens until I talk to Robert. And then we don't see him talk to Robert in this episode, so we don't know what happens next.
Yep.
And that's like everything in this episode is that. So
I can respect that.
it was kind of frustrating that, we didn't really get any resolution of anything at all. But that's okay. It just, on its own, it's not that strong, but as part of the whole, I'm sure it will fit in just fine.
The sum of the parts are greater than the individual.
Yes. So, let's get into it, I guess.
Let's get right.
I mean, what did you guys? Do you have thoughts about this episode in particular?
Ah,
But don't spoil anything.
kind of like one of those where it's one of those episodes where you kind of like, ah, haha, hey, that's cool how these characters are acting based on future events. So
Yeah, and I kind of figured that because
it's all nostalgia right now for me at least. I don't know if William feels the same.
It felt similar. The interactions were really interesting.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
fun to
I
see
did-
again.
there were some things in this episode that I really did like, though, and we'll get to them shortly, and I'll tell you guys about them.
All right.
So how did this episode begin?
Was it at the wall or was it?
No, it wasn't at the wall. I don't think.
Was that with the
I think it was them
Dothraki?
arriving. I think it was them
No,
arriving
yeah.
at King's Landing.
Yeah, it was them arriving.
Yep. So they get to King's Landing,
Yes.
and I like how they're like, Ned, you should change into something more formal. And he just,
Nah,
like,
he's a
takes off his
Stark.
gloves.
He's a
He just
Stark.
takes off his gloves and he's like, I'm done. I liked that.
Ain't nobody so as me. I'm just so fresh so clean.
And I liked the conversation between Ned and Jamie in the throne room.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
feel
where
like
he's just like, oh yeah, well,
he's basically accusing Jamie of being a poser, and Jamie sort of is like,
Yeah.
he can't really defend himself against that, and I kind of like that because obviously we all hate Jamie Lannister.
I don't.
Jamie's my favorite villain, actually.
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think Jamie's a bad guy.
Well,
He's
let
not-
me think here.
There
Who are the
isn't. He's not
villains?
really an antagonist. If I were like, what Jamie
He
is
pushed Bran
he's
out of the window.
Yeah, I would say he's a bad guy.
no,
So-
he loves his family, and would do anything to protect them.
So far, let me define who the bad guys.
The Lannisters,
I think
except
that
for Tyrion.
yes, the Lannisters except for Tyrion.
Maybe
So
Tyrion.
Jamie, Cersei,
The Starks are all bad.
Joffrey too, though I can forgive Joffrey because he's a child. And then Viserys is a bad guy, and I think probably Drogo is a bad guy at this point because of all the rape. And that's probably it for bad guys.
Oh man,
Still not sure how I feel about a lot
Wow.
of characters though.
wow. I think William and I. Oh, I can't wait for this. Okay, wow, that makes me very happy what you said. I don't. That's it.
I mean, as far as the major characters so far in these 3 episodes,
Yeah.
I
Just
don't know,
it's
like, maybe
really happy. Just
it's
everything you
possible
said.
that like the Hound ends up being a major character, and I just have no idea. But
Anyway, yeah.
we'll see.
So King's
And maybe
Landing,
he's-
Ned,
maybe he's evil.
they all there.
Yep.
What happens after?
I don't remember what happens next.
Because my notes are kind of useless. Because I didn't make them this
Yeah.
week.
I
So-
don't have paper.
I watched them on my big screen, set on my laptop. Well, through my laptop, so I don't have my laptop on me, so I don't have any notes.
Aren't
I
you
meant to write
fancy?
Yeah, I know. I connected everything
So-
in the basement.
Is the next thing the thing with the Targaryens where she stops the Horde?
Was that next in the episode?
I don't remember if that's what was next.
If it's not next, it's very soon.
We can just talk about
Yeah,
that, and we'll go back if there's anything we missed. So
Yes.
I liked that whole thing with her. Like,
Oh yeah,
stopping the Horde,
she's
and
starting to become like this.
it's like the theme of this episode, I thought, was like we're figuring out which characters understand how power dynamics work.
Ah
And
yes. in
So it's clear
politics.
that Daenerys is starting to figure that out.
Oh
and-
yeah.
And Viserys has no clue. He doesn't get it. And
He just thinks everything should be given to him because he's king.
yeah, exactly. And he orders after he gets released from the rope around his neck, he orders what's his name, Ser Jorah, to
Yes,
kill
Jorah.
the Dothraki.
And he's just like, nah, not happening.
And he's like, nah, bitch.
Why would I do that? I listen to the Khaleesi.
Well, and it's not that. It's like I'm sure he would do it if he felt that, he could. Like, because obviously he would get killed if he started attacking a member of the Horde. So, and also in that scene, I really wanted, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I really wanted Daenerys to, they're like, do you want us to kill him? And I wanted her to be like, no, just like rough him up a bit,
No,
I wanted
that would be
I wanted her
so
to
out
do
of
that.
character. I would have been mad if she did that.
I know.
That
I
would
just
have
really wanted to see it.
that would have been stupid. That
I
would have been
know.
bad character development. But
It
everyone wants to
would've-
see him beat up, and no one likes him.
It would have been a terrible story decision, but a great comedy decision. Like that's if they ever make a comedy version of this show, like that's got to be in there.
Out there, yeah.
That's. But anyway, so I liked that. I liked that sequence of events that happened. So then what was next? Is this
I think it was the wall with. No, or was it? It was
we
either
didn't
the.
get to the wall.
No,
for
no,
a
no.
while.
It wasn't the wall yet. It was when we are in the brothel. We were introduced to the brothel with Catelyn Stark.
No,
I
no,
think
you're skipping
I'm skipping.
because Ned has his meeting with the Lords first.
Okay, so then it's that. It has to be that then.
That
Or it's
So we
with
need-
Bran. No, Bran Winterfell. I think
oh yeah.
Bran Winterfell, and he talks
We're
about the White
professional
Walk.
podcasters.
Yeah, we've been
just
doing
letting
this
you
for
know.
years. We've been doing this for years.
So we're with Bran and Winterfell, and so there's this old lady sitting there by his bedside, telling him stories, and like at first she's like just vaguely annoyed with her,
Yeah, and he's like,
And
I
then
want
he's like-
spooky stories.
and then he's like scared, and I fucking love this old lady.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I
You
I
have
want-
you little summer boy. You haven't seen shit yet.
I know. And like when I watched this the first time, I was like, I would watch a whole hour of just her like telling these stories to annoyed children. Like that would be just amazing. Just a full hour. And then I had more thoughts to expand upon that later. But I know it'll never happen, but I want to see an episode of just that. I want to see like a bunch of children sitting around in a semicircle, and this old lady just telling these stories, and the kids are just like annoyed or bored. Oh, that would be so fun. But anyway, so Bran says he'd rather be dead, which I assume in
After
the next
watching 13
episode-
Reasons Why, that shit made me was just like, oof. You know,
Oof.
in this, I
Roblox.
assume that in the next episode, Tyrion is going to come back to Winterfell, and they're going to talk. And I'm interested to see what that conversation will be, based on the conversation that Tyrion had with Jaime in the previous episode, in episode 2.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
Also
forward to
based
that.
on the fact that Catelyn is not the biggest fan of Tyrion right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they're all like, wait, this man's wants to kill my son?
Yeah, but
imp?
I don't. Okay, you guys obviously know what happened, so I can't ask you. But I don't feel like Tyrion is actually behind this, because he wouldn't be stupid enough to give his like dagger that could be so easily traced to him.
Well, we already know. No, it was revealed in the last episode that Cersei hired that guy. That was already revealed.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
There was a conversation with Cersei and Jaime in the last episode about the guy, and that's
So they hired the guy.
Yeah, he did. She did. She did specifically
Okay.
because to end his pain. Remember?
Right. So Tyrion though didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, Tyrion doesn't care. He just he
So
drinks
like it's
and he knows
it's just
things.
it's such an obvious red herring to me though. Cuz like
What's a red herring?
it's a kind of fish.
I know,
Um,
I know the kind of fish, but
yeah. So it's it's
I just
like
keep forgetting. I forget what it is. If you just tell me like a little bit of it.
like in a mystery story, it's the guy who you're supposed to think is the murderer,
but
it's
isn't.
not actually
Yeah,
him.
it's it's basically the alleged culprit. Like in the, have you ever seen the, is it Poughkeepsie tapes? Have you ever
Okay,
seen that?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I've not seen that.
It's a fictional documentary about a serial killer. Anyway, there's a red herring in that. Because I don't want to go on a
good.
long tangent again.
Good to know.
Because we have to go about Game of Thrones.
So I did write down the names of the guys who are like the lords that Ned is meeting with.
Yeah.
So there's Varys or Varys.
Varys.
He's the bald guy.
Yes, Varys.
And then there's Renly is Robert's brother. And then Baelish is the guy.
Peter
who
Baelish,
owns-
baby.
He's the guy who owns the
Littlefinger.
whorehouses. I
He
feel like
is
he's
Littlefinger.
Yeah, he's significant, I feel, probably. And then the Grand Meister is the old senile guy.
Yes.
And I thought, like, again, when I saw this guy, I would love to see a full hour of him just forgetting things. Like, that was so entertaining to me. I don't know why.
When he just starts peeing at the table.
Or he just, like... I would love to see him just, like, giving these
Do you
long
just like
explanations.
watching old people suffer? I feel
No,
so.
'cause-
This is this weird fetish of yours.
We're gonna get... There's other things, too, that I have in this episode that I would love to see more of. That were just these little side things, and we'll get to them shortly.
So
I'd love to see this
Ryan
guy just like,
confirmed has an old
apologizing to people for all the things he's forgotten and then like forgetting halfway through. It'd be a great comedy routine.
So it just goes on forever.
It does. It just goes on for an hour, I guess, and it's a full episode. But anyway, there's then that conversation between Cersei and Joffrey, which was again more of like the whole who understands power dynamics.
Yeah, she
And
is
Cersei
teaching
clearly
him
does,
some
and Joffrey
very-
clearly does not yet.
Well, he's a
and-
little boy.
Right, and Joffrey's a kid, so like I said,
I'm
earlier,
just
he
a
kind of-
kid, and life
And
is a
life is a
nightmare.
So he's a kid, and clearly, you know, he's not likable so far in the show, obviously. But you kind of figure if he's given enough time, maybe he'll be a decent king. If
Yeah,
gets
but
the chance.
but Cersei is spoiling him.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I think the way Cersei is one of those parents that loves their child but is too afraid to actually teach them good morals.
See, I liked the line when she goes, "The truth will be whatever you make it."
Yep.
She's talking about the direwolf attacking him, and I immediately went like, "Fake news," you know, because
Yeah.
it's kind of a scary thing. But anyway,
The truth is whatever the winner says, or whatever
Yeah.
that Modern Warfare 2 quote is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joffrey doesn't get how to be a leader yet, but maybe he will eventually learn.
Yeah.
And Cersei clearly knows what she's doing. She is clearly very smart, although she is having sex with her twin brother, so maybe not that smart.
She's so smart. Who doesn't love incest? I mean, no, I cannot say that. Never mind.
Yeah,
No, I can't even.
expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the. I do want to mention though, like, we've kind of casually talked about rape and incest a lot on this podcast because it comes up a lot in the show.
Well, yeah.
And like,
Do you not
it's
just rape
all-
people all the time?
well, I don't. That's the thing. I never do.
Okay, Bill Cosby.
Some people do, and that's not okay in real life. It's okay in the context of the show because it's fiction.
No, it's not.
But
This
it's not.
actually happened.
Well, really?
Did
Yeah.
we establish like the Butcher's Boys, the crossover?
Yeah, the universes are actually connected. This all happens in
no,
Wales.
The crossover is called Sparkplug.
Just spark plug.
Call back to last time, you guys.
Yeah.
Listen to episode 2 if you don't get that one. So anyway, it's, rape is okay in Game of Thrones. It's not okay in real life.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo. I mean,
No, I am right about this. We do not condone rape.
But we do.
Bryce, we do not condone rape.
What if they're asking?
Bryce, you need to
for it?
stop raping people.
I never confirm nor
Could you
deny
stop
the
for
fact.
5 minutes?
5 minutes?
Could you stop? Could you at least wait until the podcast is over?
Oh man, that's a problem.
Ugh.
We're asking way too much of a man.
So, anyway, where did we leave off?
So,
Oh yeah,
Bran,
next we get the scene with
the brothel.
where
I think.
Ned is talking to
Ned.
his daughters. Right.
Oh yes, and she's just like, I'm practicing for Joffrey, because
Yeah,
Arya's
Arya's
just
just
like,
stabbing
yeah,
the
let's
table.
go, let's fucking go. Woo!
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Arya?
And I like that he encourages her to learn how to sword fight.
Yeah,
And I mean that's interesting.
that's
I
interesting.
kind
I
of
mean,
wouldn't-
he's a Stark.
Well, okay, but I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't expect him to encourage his daughter to learn how to use a sword.
He
Yeah.
encouraged 5 sons to.
I count 3.
John's a bastard. He counts.
No, I am counting him.
Oh yeah. Okay, okay.
I don't believe that the 6-year-old knows how to use a sword yet.
Not only
And
that,
actually, Bran probably doesn't either.
Bran was learning. Remember, he was teaching him.
He was, but now he's. a
And I
cripple,
was
so-
also counting.
Oh, that's where the cripples comes from, and cripples, bastards, and broken things. I get that now. That's next week's episode title.
I see.
And I figure bastards is probably Jon Snow.
No.
Broken things? Who the fuck knows? Well, you guys probably. But anyway, so I liked that. And actually, according to my notes, this is where we get that scene with the old lady who's watching over Bran.
Yep.
But whatever, we already talked about that.
Talked about it.
And
And then I think Catelyn,
then
Stark,
at this
and
point,
Littlefinger.
where we get the scene with the Dothraki. Damn it, we went way out of order.
You know what? That's okay. I think that's only proper in this podcast.
Yeah.
Why didn't
So
you
we
look at these notes beforehand?
So we haven't talked about Jon Snow and Tyrion at all yet in this episode. So
Yep.
let's just talk about all the stuff that happens at the wall.
So
Jon is beating up these kiddos.
because he actually knows how to fight, and they're all just little poor
Yeah.
lawbreakers.
Yeah, they have no idea. They never even held a sword.
Yep.
So he's beating the shit out of them, then they're gonna kill him, and then I don't
And
get
then-
why
Tyrion's just like, well,
they didn't just kill both of them, because I think between the 3 of them,
They're
they
not
could
gonna
overpower
kill-
Tyrion.
you know that What? You don't just kill a member of the house. You don't, and I don't
So
think their
you
goal
throw him
was to
off
kill
the
John.
wall.
Their goal was to intimidate
You
him.
throw him off the wall and you tell him that he fell, just like
Yeah, in front
Jamie
of
did with
hundreds of
Bran.
other people. Yes.
Just like Jamie did with Bran. It's the same maneuver.
Yeah, in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah, what's the difference? Anyway, so they're gonna kill Jon, and then Tyrion saves them, and then he convinces them that they're all the same, and blah blah blah. And everybody's equal at the wall, and that's fun. Oh, and we also left out the part. Well, we'll get to it next. So what else happens at the wall? We find out that Benjen is going out into the wilderness.
Yes.
So he's going to be gone for a while.
He's gonna be gone for
Yeah.
a while.
So who knows if we'll see him again, right? You guys do. Again, you know. So I am sad that Jon and Tyrion are now parting ways, it seems.
Yeah.
Because Tyrion is heading back to King's Landing. And I've enjoyed the scenes with these characters together. But
Everyone did. But it's time.
It's inevitable, you know.
It's a time.
Tyrion isn't going to stay at the wall based on who
Yeah, it's
he
too
is.
cold.
And not only that, what is he even doing there in the first place?
It's too cold. That's
Yeah,
the only reason.
It's too cold for him. Yeah.
The only reason.
Yeah. So it seems like they have a mutual respect for each other, which is kind of cool.
Because Tyrion just seems like a good guy, and Jon is a really
does.
moral guy.
Tyrion does seem like a good guy, even though, you know,
The Lannisters.
even though the Lannisters, and he's like, he doesn't, I don't know. Anyway, I have complex feelings about Tyrion and his morality, but I really like him. He's my favorite character.
He just likes to drink and fuck. That's all he wants to do, because he's been the low life, and that's all he gets to do.
Yep. So anyway, did we miss anything at the wall? What else happened up there?
Not really anything else. I mean,
they did allude to the guys from the first episode, the one guy who got his head chopped off.
Yeah, they alluded to them. They were talking about winter is coming. All that foreshadowing.
Yeah, and you know, they're like, the Starks are always right eventually. Winter is coming, and I like that line for some reason. I thought
because the Starks are always right.
Eventually, they're always right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it hasn't been made clear in the show to this point, but in this episode it was, that the seasons in this world last many years.
Yeah, seasons work really differently. They last for years, and it's only summer and winter.
I kind of wish that I knew that from episode 1, but I'll take it. Whenever the writers get around to explaining shit, I'll take it. So, anyway. Finally, we have that understanding. So, Catelyn travels to King's Landing in secret, but not in secret, because what's-his-name finds out about her, Baelish.
Yeah, Peter. Well, yeah.
And he brings her to his establishment.
Yes, his well-respected establishment in business.
Mm-hmm. See, I feel like I'm gonna really hate this character for some reason.
Littlefinger?
Yeah.
Ooh, who doesn't love Littlefinger?
I'm gonna like hate that I love him so much. That's the problem. But anyway.
All right.
Maybe. I don't know. I've only seen one episode with him, so I don't know.
So
But-
then
Yeah, so
she now finds out
they find out collectively that
the dagger
the
Is
dagger
Tyrion's.
is Tyrion's, yeah. And,
da.
Mm-hmm. I like how they like say the name Tyrion Lannister and then they do the dramatic cut to Tyrion with his like the
Yeah.
wind blowing in his face.
Yeah, like
That was
the
like,
majestic
I'm
MP
like, okay,
is.
really? Come on, guys. You can do better than that.
Do better. No, that's just
You
how
have
you
to-
do it.
Like they have to remind us at this point who Tyrion Lannister is. I think we know.
No, come on. We're doing a podcast. Of course, we're gonna know. Watching it, like, not everyone's gonna. And also, not only is it just not everyone's gonna know, it's just good screenwriting to just say this guy's name, something dramatic happens to him, and then cut to them. It's
You
just
know,
good
I'm-
screenwriting. It's good pacing.
The thing is, Bryce, I'm trying to find things that I don't like because so far this show has been so much better than Doctor Who.
You
And
can't
I'm
just
trying
nitpick
take this
to
one-
even them out.
I'm trying to make them a little bit comparable because
No.
they're not.
Because, you know,
I feel
Doc-
like the show
Doctor
that
Who does not did not start high. Game of
they
Thrones
started
does.
so low.
And that's okay. That's okay.
But anyway,
All good things come to an end.
yeah, just like in Star Trek.
I don't. Why would I fucking? Well,
That the last episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation is called "All Good Things," because of that saying, "All good things must come to an end." Anyway,
let's see.
I feel like you don't. So,
No, I have
what
eyes.
else? What else happened in this episode? Oh yeah, we get the scene with Robert Baratheon in his private room, talking with some guy who I
With
didn't
one of the
recognize.
Lannisters. He is a Lannister,
Okay.
and he's a little squire at this point. He's going to be a knight,
No.
and he's
Well,
treating him like
okay.
a little bitch boy.
Well, him, but there was also the older guy who was in there.
The older, oh, I forget who he was. Is he a Tyrell?
I don't remember what his title is.
I think he is a. I could be wrong. There are a lot of houses, but yes, old guy,
sure
old
Him
knight.
again.
What?
I'm sure we'll see him again.
Oh yeah.
But okay, this is the third thing that I really would love to see more of. Like, I would love to see more of Robert Baratheon just being really mean to Lancel Lannister.
Yes.
I would love to see him just like yelling at this poor kid over and over and over about different things, and just like everything.
What type of
Lancel
name is
does-
that? Who named you?
Yeah, everything Lancel does is wrong somehow, and he's just. I would love to see a full hour of that too.
It's like
That's
a
the third thing
Tom and
now.
Jerry skit.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be great. So that's three things now, and there is a fourth. I
Oh
promise.
my
there's-
god.
So, what did you guys think about that scene with
Oh.
with him talking to Jamie and the old about their kills?
I thought that it was nice because they mentioned the part about they don't tell you that men shit themselves.
Yeah. And it gave some backstory on some of these
Yep.
characters.
You add exposition, you keep adding more to characters, and you keep adding
Yeah.
and adding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good storytelling.
Robert Baratheon and his hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Trusty weapon indeed.
So, are we missing anything else? There's the last scene with Arya learning how to sword fight. And are we missing anything that happens before that?
Yeah. She's pregnant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Daenerys is pregnant. How did
Daenerys
we
is
miss
pregnant,
that? Yeah,
and
that's
when
the
we find
only-
that out, they're
that's
they're
like
about
the
to do
only
their.
plot thing that happened in this episode. That's the only plot point.
Rift, baby.
And also, yes, I think I know what the fourth thing is, and it's of Arya and her trainer, and you want an hour of just that.
Yes. Not Arya and her trainer. I just want him so I want him. You know how at the wall, it was like
Oh my god.
Jon Snow would like kick a guy's ass, and then the guy would just go next.
Yep.
So I want that guy from the wall in a room with Arya's trainer, and there's just a bunch of these like scared little children who go and fight this professional swordsman.
Yeah. Dead.
And he goes dead, and then the guy goes next, and then another one comes up, dead, next, very dead, next. You know, I would love to see that. So
yeah. How
really,
did you feel? I want to know, Ryan, about how Ned looks at Arya training and then just has the PTSD. Right
Well,
then and there.
I mean, it seems like Ned, you know, on the one hand, he's letting her do this, but it seems like he's torn about it. Like, he doesn't
Oh well, I mean,
want her to be like him.
he doesn't want anyone to go through the horrors of battle.
What he went through. But anyway, what I really want is so an hour-long episode, right? 60 minutes. So 15 minutes each cut together of this old lady talking to annoyed children. The old man talking about how apologizing for forgetting stuff. The what was the third thing? Oh, Robert being mean to Lancel Lannister. And then the sword fighter guy beating up children. Like that, 15 minutes of each of those cut together into a full episode of the show, and that's it. That's what I want.
That's your.
Is that too much to ask for?
Is that too much? 4 hours of television.
No, just 1 hour, 15 minutes each of those.
Oh, I see. Like a Christmas special.
All cut together, you know. So like we get a minute of old lady talk, and then we get a minute of sword guy, and then, you know.
And it just keeps going until the end of the episode. It just
keeps going for an hour.
All right.
That's what I want, and I feel like that would be more entertaining than this episode was.
This episode was entertaining enough, I think, to lead us on, and it did its purpose. It came and it went. It just was uneventful, and I agree.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was just
7 out of 10.
No,
there's nothing bad about it. There is nothing bad about the episode. There's nothing that it does wrong, and all it does is lead as proper as you really can. It's just not going to be a highlight episode. It's an episode that everyone will forget, but it's necessary.
I'm actually giving this a 6 out of 10.
I thought you would. I thought that you were going to give it a 5 or a 6.
By the way, 6 out of 10 is still... It's the exact same as what I gave to the end of the world, so...
You're second.
It's just... It's like I keep telling you how terrible this episode of Game of Thrones was, and I'm still giving it, like...
It was still more entertaining than...
It's still exactly the same as the end of the world, so... Yeah. So, Bryce, what are you giving it?
A 7 out of 10. And
7.
William, as you type away in your servitude.
What could you remind me what I rated the last two?
You gave Winter is Coming a 7 and The King's Road a 7.5.
I think I'd give this a 7.
Yeah.
It was a lot of exposition, and I generally don't like that. If this is my first time watching it, I think I'd almost give it like a 5.
But because of what it leads up to, a 7.
Yeah, but as like a second time watching or second or third time watching, it's like, okay, I appreciate it in different ways.
Yeah, and I was tempted to give it a 5, but I felt like that would be too harsh because I really didn't hate it, and I wasn't completely neutral. Like, I liked it. It just wasn't exciting, really. But I'm really excited for the next episode because I think we're going to see a lot of these, you know, things that are getting set up. We're going to see what comes of it.
Yeah, timing-wise, you can kind of expect if it's like you have an exposition episode, you almost expect the next one to be action.
Yeah.
At least I would.
Flash! Oh!
So, do we have anything else that we want to say about
Any
Game of Thrones?
closing thoughts?
I think
I
we've all
just
kind of,
want to see more Arya.
yeah.
That's really it.
I just want to see an episode with Charles Darwin.
The more I see this show, the more I kind of realize it's kind of meant for the people who have read the books or for rewatching.
Yeah.
Because it's like, in like the first episode when, or was it the first when Tyrion slaps Joffrey?
Yeah.
That's the second episode.
It's like if that's your first time watching through, you're like, okay, you don't really care.
Oh, I
It's
fucking love that scene.
But it's like you appreciate it so much more if you know more about
Yeah.
at least the episode right after that or later on. It's like, oh, this is so much more enjoyable to the point where there seems to be a lot of scenes like that where they're designed for people who already know
So,
things.
William, what you're saying is the more times you watch an adult hit a child, the more enjoyable it gets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Child
All right.
abuse is good. The more it's like a joke that never gets old.
Just like slavery.
It's kind of to the point where I'm surprised so many people like it because it feels like there's a lot of that where it's designed for people who already know things. But I guess they do a good job of keeping interesting things happen.
Yeah, but the whole show hasn't been bad. Like Ryan has been giving this positive despite his
will
negative
say that
critiques.
these early seasons for Doctor Who as well. For these early seasons, me watching it, I get a lot more enjoyment out of it, knowing what it's setting up, knowing all the world building stuff. And I feel like you guys, you really hated this last episode apparently, but I feel like you would like it if you knew a little bit more. It's what's coming. Winter, that's what's coming. So I guess that takes us to the conclusion of this episode. So next time will be episode 4. So Doctor Who is a 2-parter next time. So we're gonna do 2 episodes of Doctor Who, Aliens of London and World War III. It's a 2-part episode, the first of 3 in this first season. And it will be a fun ride. And it just so happens that it has the longest name of anything in this first season of Doctor Who, and it is paired with the longest name in Game of Thrones in the first season. So our glorious title for next time will be Cripples, Aliens, Bastards, London, Broken Things, and World War III.
Ah, yes. Finally, some good fucking food.
I'm trying to figure out what that is in reference to.
Gordon Ramsay.
Okay. So I guess that's it for our podcast. So I haven't said this before, but if you are finding this on YouTube, subscribe, if you liked it, whatever. You can find us on Twitter. All that information's in the description. Email us, tell us how much you hate us and our views on slavery.
Bye.
If you're from the South, harass us on Twitter.
Yes.
So, and if you're from the South, congratulations on making it to the end of the podcast after what Bryce said earlier.
No regrets. No regrets.
Okay, don't dig yourself a deeper hole, Bryce.
If I don't get death threats, then I'm not doing it right.
All right. Well, William, thank you again for being our guest.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
I'm really curious to see what your relationship with your captors will be the next time we speak with you, whenever that is.
If we speak with you again.
If we speak with you again.
That's all I gotta say.
Every day is what?
A journey.
A journey. A land of the land before time.
It's like he's in his own little in Winterfell or something. I don't know.
Blessed Syria.
Blessed.
On that note, bye.
Lid, guys. Goodbye.
Lid.